everybody. This is Dr. Lori Shemek.
And I'm Omar Cumberbatch. You're listening to This Podcast Burns Fat. Hey, Lori, how are you today?
I am wonderful, doing great. Just had a lot of renovation done in my house. Mm-hmm. And dust flying everywhere, but things are cool.
Good. Yeah, no, that's always a monumental undertaking. Because,
yes.
And you kind of displaced a lot, right?
Yeah, really displaced, and dust everywhere, and people, workers in and out, and it's just been lots of fun.
Well, you're gonna love it when it's done. That's usually how it goes. So hang in there; it'll be over before you know it.
I loved also our guest today.
Yes.
Bill Vogel. We loved having him.
Yeah, no, he was great. Great story. And I think it hits home for a lot of people who are over 50 and kind of just let life take control, in the sense that they did just kind of let their health get out of hand just because life got in the way. And that was really why he thinks that a lot of the population and that age group, raising kids, chasing their career goals, wake up one day and they're just pretty overweight and have a lot of health concerns. And he's a coach who is able to help them down that path. And he had tremendous tips to kind of get people back into the shape that they once had. So it was really cool to have him on the show.
That's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing with everyone today.
Yeah, so let's do it. Here we go. Hey, Bill, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hey, I am terrific. How are you folks?
Oh, doing great, and very happy you're here, Bill. So
thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. You are a certified health and longevity coach, and we're really excited to have you on because you have a great story, an inspiring story to tell. And
thank you.
Well, I love what you say, that you are the CEO of your own health and nobody else.
Right. And it's interesting. Yesterday, I did a presentation to a group. There's groups around the country called Vistage, and Vistage is made up of all CEOs of smaller, medium-sized companies. So they loved when I had that on the PowerPoint first thing.
I love that.
Yeah,
because we really are. Who's going to do it for us? I always tell people, if who's going to take care of you if something goes wrong with your health, in terms of, it's only up to us we don't want to get to that point where somebody's taking care of us and we're the only person that can really do the health stuff. So
absolutely. Yeah, I was mentioning to the CEO group yesterday that, there's components of what I do as a coach that your primary doctor does not do. And as I'm sure people have told you on the podcast, and I'm sure as their doctors do a great job, but they're interested in sickness and disease. That's what they do. And they get almost no training on really health and wellness, nutrition, movement, etc. So you are the CEO because you're in there for them to, if you have an issue, and they do a great job at it. But the rest of the stuff, they go through medical school and they get little to no training on wellness and
for sure.
Keeping you out of their office, more or less.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Bill, could you just tell us your story and what inspired you to become a health and longevity coach?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just going back a little bit. I'm a tall guy, as I mentioned, 6'6", and I played ball in college and so forth. But over the few decades, everybody puts on 10 pounds plus per decade, and then they find themselves in their 50s and 60s. Wow, what happened? Type of thing. But on the personal side of things. About 11 years ago or so, I was at I didn't start a company. I was at a family gathering, and there was a photographer, and he was taking a picture of the group, about 25 people. And this is when I had added a lot of weight over time. And he says, "Sir, can you please button your suit coat?" Okay. And he said it about 5 times. And the reason I didn't respond was because I couldn't do it. My suit was probably 50 pounds ago. And it was incredibly embarrassing in front of all the family, and including my wife's ex-husband within the group. And I'm sure he was smiling inside his head, like, Bill's.
Yeah.
But so anyway, what I've found for myself and for my clients is people have a moment in time, and I call it the come to Jesus moment, where it's an embarrassing situation, or like I had, or your doctor saying, hey, you got to drop some weight. You're heading to type 2 diabetes or heart disease, and something's got to really upset you a bit. And that's what happened to me. So I went home that night and I kind of researched the internet, and the plan I came up with to start with, and this was a while ago, so there weren't a lot of specific plans out there, but a long-term plan, the Atkins diet. So I said, this sounds good. I can eat, protein, meat, so forth. And I think I could try this. So I dropped about 75 pounds in 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
So I was at 297. And for a 6'6" guy, that's not incredibly overweight, but when you look at a picture of me, I look like when I saw one the other day from 11 years ago, it looked like not Incredible Hulk, but the Incredible Bulk.
That's funny, Bill.
Yeah. But anyway, I didn't gain it in my gut necessarily, but like from head to toe, everywhere. It was not good. And I felt kind of crappy and horrible all the time. I never had any energy. So I went on the Atkins diet, and that's kind of what I still do today, not Atkins specific, but preach that to my clients. And I've been following it for 11 years, and I've kept that weight off. But another curveball happened about 6 years ago. I went into my primary doctor for just a routine physical, and blood test came back, and my white blood cell count was about 35,000, and normally it should be 4,000 or 5,000 or so. And he looked at me and said, "Wow, you're in good shape. I don't know what's going on here. You should be in bed sick with that white blood cell count." And further tests and so forth. And they kind of came up with the fact that I had leukemia and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancers. Which is not what I wanted to hear.
No,
but
those are somewhat rare. Well, non-Hodgkin's is.
Yeah. And so it kind of scared the heck out of me, as it would for anybody. So I ended up going through about 6 months of chemotherapy, and I thank God that I had lost all that weight and was in good shape. It made it a lot easier for me to go through all those sessions of chemo. But a couple of interesting facts on that, if I may. I had been listening to some podcasts at the time, and I was listening to Walter Longo, and he was talking about, again, this was a little while ago, but talking about some studies that were coming out where if people fasted before chemo, that there were great results from doing that. So the day before my first session of chemo, I fasted, I went in, got the treatment, and went back a week later. He just wanted to check on me. And he said, "Wow," he says, "Bill, you had 15 tumors in your neck."
Oh my goodness.
Before the session, and after only one session, they were not visible anymore. And, that was, pretty amazing stuff. But one thing that kind of troubled me is, first of all, he said, "Well, did you do anything?" I said, "Yeah, I listened to Walter Longo. I'm trying this out. Why not? It's cancer. You give it your best, right?" And so I said, I fasted for the day before, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
How many hours did you fast?
I'm sorry?
How many hours did you fast?
24, 36, somewhere around there.
The day before?
Yeah, so it was just water and coffee. Yeah, just the day before is all I did. But anyway, I thought after, he actually said to me, he said, "Bill, I've never seen such a tremendous response from chemo in my whole career after one treatment." And you would think that he would say, "Tell me in detail what you do. I could use this with my other clients potentially. I'm going to read up on it." He said nothing. He just incredible. Like, "Oh, okay, fine." and went on to the rest of the
typical, I would say.
I mean, it's just like, again, doctors do the best they can, but they're more interested, I think, in the latest, greatest chemotherapies than some side things that could, be tremendous for their patients. And I was just shocked that he didn't, hey, let's talk about this for 15 minutes. Tell me everything. And he kind of just blew it off. And I'm like, okay, so anyway, I kept it up. I did it for each of the 6 treatments. And so that's been about 7 years now. And I go in for my regular blood tests. I'm all really focused on the white blood cell count, but physically I feel great and everything.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Again, thank the Lord that I got through that. I was never sick or anything. Didn't lose my hair, which
that's amazing.
Good. Yeah. So anyway, so that's a bit of a curveball I got thrown, after losing the weight, getting cancer, and there's no cure for it, by the way. So all it does is would stop it at that time, but it doesn't mean I could get sick next week. And if you go back a second time, your odds of surviving go down tremendously. So anyway, I don't think about it all the time. It's just part of my life, and I just deal with it. And, I could have just said, I'm giving up on this. But I'm keeping myself in very good shape. Because I don't want to have any excuses at the end, if they say it came back, boy, I wish I would have lost weight, or I wish I would have exercised.
Yeah, optimize
and so
your
I'm
health
like,
now.
If it comes back, it comes back, and that's it. So
good job.
So anyway,
you're so inspiring, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
I'm alive and kicking, so I'm happy. That's for sure.
No, that is
great. So just to continue on for a moment, so I've been following health and wellness for all those 11 years, podcasts, books, studies, and so forth. And I was in the software business. I sold high ticket software for some of the bigger software companies in the world, and never passionate about it, but I had a good life from it, from the income and so forth. But I was ready to get out. And I told my wife I'm going to be retiring from software. And she said, hey, you're so into health and wellness. Why don't you try to get a certification and help other people like yourself, to get on the right track, get back to optimal health and those things. I thought that was a great idea. I specifically went through Mark Sisson's program. I'm sure you know Mark Sisson out there.
Oh, yeah.
One of the gurus. But anyway, so I started doing that, and I have a number of clients now, good amount. And I do it nationwide. So I have a virtual practice. And and speaking of passionate before not being so passionate with software, I'm passionate about this because you can see the results, fairly quickly. And I just love helping people out. And especially, I decided I wanted to work with people 50 and over, men and women. And because that group really is probably the most metabolically unhealthy. And the reason is these, men and women spent their lives raising their children, trying to build up their wealth and so forth. And the last thing they think about is their own health. And now the kids are out of college, and they look in the mirror and like, wow, do I want to spend my X number of years for the rest of my life, not having energy, being overweight. So really, these people are typically that I'm working with are 40 pounds to 100 pounds overweight. And, they normally try to do something themselves. They have no plan. They don't know what to do. And, if they've heard about me or other coaches that can do similar things, they need someone to hold them accountable. And that's the number one priority of my job is to hold people accountable. Very difficult to do it yourself. The numbers are like over 90% where you try to do it alone and you just can't.
That's for sure.
So I meet with them every week,
yep.
Work virtually 30 minutes and keep them on track, put in small, reasonable changes when we start and work from there and build on it. And I had probably a 96 or 7% success rate so far. So it's working. And so I'm ecstatic about that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And being a health coach myself, I saw on your website the ancestral lifestyle, which is obviously now it explains itself with Mark Sisson and what you were taught at when you were going for your certification. So can you explain that to the audience? Because it's a lot deeper than what I would imagine, especially because you've been able to go through the schooling and really get into the nitty gritty of the details.
Yeah, sure. I was telling the group, the CEO group yesterday that, the doctors are focused on sickness and disease, but not so much on preventative. And I have components that I use that are all interconnected with my clients, including nutrition, intermittent fasting, movement or exercise, breathing, hydration, getting out in the sun, sleep management. So that all these are interconnected, but they're all crucial to getting to these people to where they want to be. And on the particular Mark Sisson program, what we're doing basically is his more or less paleo, but I kind of do a paleo keto kind of program with my clients. So basically, it's getting rid of or minimizing sugars, grains, and starches in their diet and replacing them with other things. And I actually, when I do a first session, I offer up all the possibilities: vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, so forth. And everybody so far has gone with a kind of keto paleo version on cutting that back. So those components I talk about are kind of part of what Mark Sisson preaches, and I'm keeping that up. And it's really not that difficult for people, but you do need somebody kind of a Sherpa out there to guide you in the program, and again, most importantly, keep you accountable, because it's very easy if you do it yourself. Oh, I'll have pizza tonight, and the next night I'll have this and that, and then before you know it, maybe you've dropped 20 pounds, but now you're gaining 30 pounds. So I keep them on plan, and that's the crucial piece.
So do you use intermittent fasting or time restricted eating with all of your clients, or just for those that want to do that?
I've been using, I think maybe one in the last few years did not. And what I try to do is, I kind of a nicer name is eating windows versus intermittent fasting, because people get scared when they hear that. I'm going to starve and all that stuff. But I mean, normally what I try to do is I push back breakfast. And so normally it could be something like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is when they're eating. And part of the plan too is not eating after dinner, which is really crucial. And that's usually part of the first week with my clients. Not eating after dinner, kitchen's closed, and then getting out and walking after dinner too. Again, if you look
fantastic
at a typical client, they're they haven't gotten off the sofa and watching Netflix for years and years. What they've gone through has taken 20, 30 years to get to where they are now. So no quick fixes. So, but what I try to do is not scare them to death and throw the kitchen sink at them, but let's do small, reasonable steps each week, and we'll build upon that. And that's worked really, really well. So it's that's the first step of the process for me.
What have you found to be the most difficult hurdle in actually for a person to lose weight, especially at an older age?
It's changing their lifestyle and changing their habits. It's things they've done for many, many years, and it's again, doing it slowly is the way to do it. People are Americans. I'm sure you know this. We eat from the moment we get up to the moment we go to bed, and so it's like 16 hours of nonstop eating. And for example, with breakfast, people get out of bed, shower up, and time for breakfast, whether or not they're hungry, because it's a habit. And I don't eat breakfast myself, but my clients have gotten to the point where most of them don't even eat breakfast anymore. It's just a habit. Okay, it's 8 o'clock, breakfast time. And I kind of changed that mentality a little bit and gradually get them into the eating window portion of it. And, the big advantage of a paleo or keto is being satiated. So you're not starving all the time versus a more and this is my opinion, more of a vegan vegetarian where you're eating all the time. So if they have something mid-morning, they're not starving and ready to go to lunch. And same thing between lunch and dinner. They're not starving. The very nutrient dense food, whether that's beef, chicken, pork, fish, whatever that happens to be. But it keeps them full, so you're not always looking at the refrigerator. And one of the other key things I do too in the beginning, and for the local clients here in the Tampa Bay area, I actually go to their house with them with a big garbage bag, and we get all the temptations out of the house.
Oh, nice.
So cakes, pies, ice cream, Doritos.
I did that
chips.
One time. Yeah. I did it. Yeah. It was a segment on TV on the news, and literally there was nothing left in that poor young lady's house. And it was really sad. She was like, "What?
Yeah,
throwing it out. Sorry."
Yeah, I mean, you don't want the temptation there. It's so easy to say, "I'll help." Oh, there's some Ben and Jerry's in the fridge. I'll just have a bite, and then you end up finishing the whole pint or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So I still do that today. My wife and I, we don't buy any of those types of foods because you know what? Still today, after doing this, if there's a Ben and Jerry's chocolate ice cream in there, I could go in there and start eating it. So totally. I just make it easier. Don't have it. So we get rid of all that stuff.
Even if you hide it in the very back of the freezer, that one day is going to come upon you, and you know where to go get it. So it's just. So what happens if, say, one of your clients is not doing well? Right. They're struggling with the fasting portion of it. What do you do then? Do you just scale back to the beginning or change the actual food?
Yeah, I don't change the food, but sometimes we have to go back a step, make sure that step is a successful step. And I get into more like what was around when you ate the Doritos, what was going on. And usually it's, basically it's emotional eating, to stop their, whatever bad feelings they have. It's something like that. So we talk it through. So, I mean, part of my job is an unlicensed psychiatrist, but just talk it out and let's get to the root cause of why you did this. So that usually helps. And, some people, honestly, most of the people on my program really stick to it very well. And, we're not striving for perfection here. We're human beings. If we're at a birthday, we might have a piece of cake, but not a giant piece of cake. It's a sliver just to be cordial and to the people who had the birthday there, but we're all going to slip. So I say strive for excellence, not perfection, because even I occasionally slip up a little bit, but that's life, and
exactly.
Yeah. So it's really, if they're following the program, what they'll find is if they quote unquote cheat, they actually, after a while, they won't feel well the next day because their body's not used to toast or bagels or muffins or cereal. And when they eat it, they don't feel quite right. Their bodies are changing internally, and when something bad comes in, the big warning sign comes up, and it's usually a headache. My stomach doesn't feel well, and so their body's basically rejecting the grains and the starches and the sugars. So
inflammation.
Yep.
So one of the things that I always thought of as we age, we tend to think that we can just do the same things that we've been doing in our 20s and 30s and our 40s and 50s and 60s. When you're dealing with your clients, do you find that a lot? And how do you break that cycle?
Yeah. A lot of the people I talk to, especially the men, were, athletes in high school or college and so forth. But, what I've found with my clients, and I do have some clients in their 30s and 40s too, but it's something magical about when you get to your 40s that everything you were doing and eating and drinking before, you could recover and you weren't putting on weight, but something crazy happens. I usually go to my high school reunions. And so when I went after 10 years, 28 years old, everybody looked great. 38, everybody looked great. 48, I'm like, who are these people? Yeah, it's like they just put on a ton of, they don't look good. and
some you can't recognize. Yeah.
You could see it on them. And but I just try to explain to my clients, the body, your body changes over time, and this, as I said, the things you could do before don't work anymore. And so that typically is a big problem. I've also had a lot of clients who come to me who said in the last 2 years since COVID, they've put on another 25 pounds, staying inside, not getting out in the sun, not moving. And so that's made it even worse for them. So we just, they usually get to the point with me, guys, where maybe they tried a Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or a Nutrisystem or something like that. And all of them say, hey, I lost some weight. Well, if you get off the kind of the standard American diet, you will lose weight. But the problem is sustainability. Can I do this for the rest of my life? So in my program, I say this is not a 90-day quick fix, and then you go back and put on more weight. This is really going to do for the rest of your life. So it's really a complete change in lifestyle. And by the time people come to me, they're at their wits' end, and they almost will say to me, "I'll do whatever you tell me."
Kind of like really. Deciding to have total knee replacement surgery.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I get it in our time frame here, but I want to talk to you about my favorite client, and my favorite client is my mother-in-law. Believe it or not, love my mother-in-law, but she was obese. She was 240 something pounds, and she's about 5'8" or so. And her come to Jesus moment was when she was visiting her son in Idaho. And when they got off the plane, they needed 2 guys to come pull her out of the seat. And that wasn't good.
Yeah.
So she was totally embarrassed by it. She knew I was doing this. And I talked to my wife about it. And I said, okay, let's have your mom move in with us for a month. And I won the Son-in-Law of the Year award on that one, I guess. But
and Husband of the Year, too.
Yeah. But so anyway, she lived with us for a month. I got her on the straight and narrow in nutrition. So I shopped for the food and went through the program with her a lot. These are the foods she'll be eating. I cooked the food for her, and I got her out moving and walking. She has a walker to help her walk. But when she first came here, she could not, wearing a high rise and wearing the end unit. If she went from our unit to the elevator and back, she'd have to sit down for 15 minutes. I mean, she was winded.
Wow.
So after 30 days, from a movement perspective, I would actually go out and walk with her in the city here. And at the end, she was walking around the block twice.
Wow, Bill, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And she's gone from 241 to this, and I've been with her about 7 or 8 months, working with her, down to 179. So that's 60 something pounds there she's lost. And
that's fantastic.
It's not, and Lori, it's not just the weight. Her attitude on life has changed. She was basically depressed, and she was one fall away from breaking her hip and dying within a couple of weeks. And total 180. She's so happy. My wife said, I've never seen my mother so happy in my whole life.
You saved her life, I think.
Your whole, she has energy. She has a different outlook. Before, again, she was so depressed. It was just sad to sit with her. And she's a nice lady. And it just, but
so let me ask you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say a couple of great things that happen out of it. And whether you're a man or a woman, when people see you haven't seen in a while, and they see you and they're like, whoa, you look great. I mean, nobody turns down compliments, right?
Right.
Yeah. And the other component too was she went to a department store to buy some clothes because she's lost so much weight. And she used to shop in the plus women's area. And now she can shop in the regular area and a whole better selection of clothes. But that was just that she was beaming when she didn't have to go in the plus section, which have a really poor selection of clothes, to shopping in the same area where my wife does. And that was just a huge thing for her.
What a gift.
She hadn't done that in 40 years.
That is a gift, truly. So for those that say are struggling like your mother-in-law was, what would you say would be one of the first things they should do if they're really, they've had it? And I like to ask, a lot of our guests this question because there are so many people that are struggling with their health and of course their weight and of course their health, usually. So they're not happy. They're just, life doesn't seem as bright and cheerful as it once was.
Right. Yeah. What was
so
the question?
What would be the first thing you would have them do in this case?
Yeah, I would say you got to hook up with a health and wellness coach. It doesn't have to be me, but I think you need the guidance, because most people come out of it, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. There's so many conflicting messages out there. And just have a conversation like I do with one of my clients who are prospects. About 30 minutes, I talk about the program. Is this something doable for you? You think you'd be up for this? Any issues why you couldn't? But I think doing a session just to show there's light at the end of the tunnel here, that this can be done. And I usually talk about examples like my mother-in-law, like a friend of mine in the building here who's lost 75 pounds. It's very doable if you follow the plan. And I tell them, we're not looking for perfection, as I said, but we're going to give you more years of good health, and that's get to see your grandchildren, be able to walk with them in an amusement park, doing things like that. And this is something you can do, and many people do. You just need a plan and guidance on it, and very doable.
No, I definitely agree. And again, sometimes when you meet these clients, because I have many myself, they just really don't know where they are as far as assessing how bad or good they're doing, to be honest, because there's a lot of people who enjoy walking, say, but they don't eat well, or they eat well and they don't do any exercise. And one of the things that I was following you on your website about is like really the ancestral difference about our movement specifically today as opposed to how we as humans were meant to move. Can you just talk about like that as well? Just sure. How you incorporate exercise and movement in your life?
Yeah, it's interesting if you go back to early man and women way back when, the movement component of it usually was we're out hunting, and they're starving and they need to get some food on the table for their family. And that's where they got their exercise. They weren't obviously going to the gym and everything. But so what I talk to my clients about it, I said weight loss, and from my information I've gathered over the years, is really 85% nutrition and 15% exercise. So it's, you'll see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I signed up for LA Fitness," and most of those people, I think it's about 91%. End up stopping going after about 90 days because they look at themselves, I'm not losing any weight. But if they're not thinking about the nutrition component, you really can't out exercise a poor diet. So right. You can be doing 3 hours at LA Fitness, but if you're eating garbage, there's not going to be that effect. So it's really, as I mentioned earlier, all those interconnected components with the nutrition and fasting and exercise and all that. So it's very important to bring those all together if you're going to be successful. So, but nutrition is a lot of that is my main focus with these folks. And again, gradually build it up so they can exercise a little bit more and, stay on the plan as far as nutrition goes.
Absolutely. Same approach that I know Lori and I have. We always say that you can't outrun your mouth. So we have to focus on our nutrition. So Bill, you've been fantastic. Really appreciate this information.
I was talking to so much here, but as you can see, I really love my job and I'm very passionate about it. And nothing makes me happier than seeing success stories like my mother-in-law. And I broadcast her on Facebook and all this. And one of the big problems is people have in the 50s and over is, if they look at their friends, their closest friends, they all look like them. So it's not out of the ordinary to be overweight. So if all your friends are like that, oh, I'm good. And they're really not. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier in our talk here, that it takes something to shake them up. And whether that's a medical reason or like the embarrassment I had. But, I look at it, I want to grab people and I'm walking by in the city here and say, hey, I can help you, but the people are just like, I'm good. And I'm like, well, you're not good. And that day will come when the doctor will say something you don't want to hear. And, it's amazing the numbers of type 2 diabetics have just shot through the roof. CDC says 1/3 of adults are walking around and they don't know they're either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetics because they're not going to the doctors, not getting it checked out, and they're heading down a pretty bad path. So
true.
I just think for like
Very true.
People like you and I, Omar, there's a lot of health coaches out there, but we need more because the doctors are not picking up on the preventative part of it that we do. So it's real important.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that you brought up the point about the tribe in essence, where you are around people who are maybe a little bit older and they're all out of shape. And it's just kind of an acceptance when it just really doesn't have to be. And the quicker people realize that, the better the opportunity is for them to shift in the direction that, you're leading them down. So I want you to be able to give the audience, all your information so that we can keep up with all the great stuff you're doing, your social media handles, your website and such.
Sure. One added fact I wanted to mention, my wife, I don't go to clothing stores, but my wife went to one of the big department stores and she looked and she sent me pictures of the mannequins in the stores. And you know how they used to be just on the women's side, especially painfully skinny. Now they have the mannequins on the women's side. They have a bit of bulk on them, and the men have dad bods on them. It's a mannequin with a dad bod, and it's like they're just giving. This is most of our potential customers look like this. So why wouldn't we have mannequins that look like them, right? So it's crazy.
It's changed.
yeah. For not.
But
for
where
the
can
good.
we
And
find
I think
out how to reach you, Bill?
Yep, sure. Best place is my website. It's my 50 plus health, 50 on the 50. And there you can get on and set an appointment to do a free consultation and just have a chat. And there's no pressure. And just I lay everything out and see what you think. And just the other piece of it too is I also, in addition to one-on-one training, I do company training too. So for small companies that want someone to come in and give informational presentations on where we are today in America, the things you can do to help yourself. And sometimes I'll get one-on-one clients out of that. But I'm just trying to preach the gospel here and let everybody know like how they can get back to optimal health. And who doesn't want to be in optimal health, right? Amen. So
Amen.
Bill, thanks again for being on the show. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right.
Appreciate you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Take care, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of This Podcast Burns Fat. We're so excited to have you as a listener, and we're hoping that you've really enjoyed the content as well. And if you did, please run over to iTunes and provide a rating and or review. It will go a long way in helping us continuously build our listenership up so that we can provide you with excellent content regarding fat loss, weight management, and just an overall healthy lifestyle. Thanks so much. Have a great night.